back in sanctuary days, that was the legal argument we had with the government about whether those folks were refugees or whether they were economic migrants. And we eventually prevailed on that question and got the deportation stopped and got work permits for all the undocumented folks who were here from El Salvador and Guatemala. The question today is, by continuing a border enforcement strategy south of here and along the entire U.S.-Mexico border, that has cost at least over 5,000 lives of poor migrant workers now. As an essential part of that border enforcement strategy, is that a violation of human rights and international law? And the answer is, yes it is. Not because I tell you that. I can't even get my own wife to agree with me, right? So don't you start. But because it's already been determined by international courts who have heard the arguments of the United States in defense of this border enforcement strategy, and the arguments of other countries to the south who have filed a complaint with the international courts about all of the deaths of migrant workers.
And where would those things be litigated? The Hague or
But this one was litigated in 2003 by the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, which is the court for this hemisphere. All of the countries of this hemisphere that are part of the Organization of American States. And a 6-judge panel heard the case and unanimously ruled that the United States is in violation of international law and human rights. By that time, I think they cited 2,000 deaths because of this border enforcement strategy that was directly related to the number of people dying. And in other words, what they said was every country has a right to, quote unquote, secure its borders and regulate immigration, but they don't have a right to do it if it costs thousands of lives. In other words, you can't landmine the border and you can't fly out machine guns and kill thousands of people in order to regulate immigration. And that was the result of this border enforcement strategy. And therefore it was a violation of international law and human rights. And then the United Nations took a look at this question through the Human Rights Commission of the United Nations in 2007 and sent a special rapporteur to the border for a year to investigate that same question. And he reported back, and they adopted his report that said the United States is and continues to be in violation of human rights and international law. And by that time cited over 5,000 deaths as a direct result of this tragically failing strategy. So then the question is, what's our responsibility? And no more deaths, and Samaritans are committed to the practice of civil initiative under those circumstances, directly aiding the victims of this human rights violating policy of the United States government here on the border by directly aiding the victims out there in the desert. So that's what we're doing. And unlike the myriad of immigration reform organizations out there who protest, who write letters, who organize people to be a lobby, whatever it is, we're the folks who are doing direct hands-on aid to the victims out here in the desert and just across the border. So that's what we're doing. Welcome to Samaritans. There are no more deaths. We're delighted because we depend upon you. Let me tell you the characteristics of civil initiative that we came up with as we developed the concept and the practice of it during the 1980s. And I always have to do this because I always forget one. It's civil initiative is always nonviolent. Oh, you don't have to take notes. This is on the pages you guys have. Okay. Civil initiative is always nonviolent. We practice nonviolence. We're committed to nonviolence. It's what distinguishes No More Deaths and Samaritans from the vigilantes and the militias out there in the desert, and virtually everybody else. Everybody else is packing guns. We're the only folks out there, and the migrants, of course, without weapons. Okay? It's always truthful. By the end of the training today, you won't learn any secret handshakes, and you won't learn any secret codes, and you won't learn any secret doctrines, and you won't learn, well, I'd like to hear some of Lisa's secrets, but she never tells me. But nothing about Samaritans or No More Deaths, okay? So everything we do is open and truthful and transparent. If anybody comes, we'll tell them exactly the same thing, and so will you, out there in the desert and here in the training. We're absolutely transparent. Civil initiative is not factional. We don't have any litmus tests. It is a faith-based organization because it's based here in the organization of Southside Presbyterian Church. And much of the formation of Samaritans and No More Deaths had to do with people of faith. But you can be a part of Samaritans or No More Deaths no matter what your motivation is. Okay? If it's faith-based, fine. If it's human rights-based, fine. If it's conscience-based, fine. Whatever your motivation is, you're welcome. And we don't proselyte around here. Just so you understand that. Don't be afraid of it. It's always in dialogue with the government, because this is not a training ground for people to become Border Patrol agents. If you're here because you think it might be a good experience to put on a resume to join the Border Patrol, you're in the wrong place. And we don't want to change power relationships with them. We don't want to tear them down and become the Border Patrol, right? We're not looking for a change in power relationships. We're simply advocating that they do their responsibilities in conformity to human rights and international law standards for a change. Okay? So it's always in dialogue with the government because we're always trying to get them to change their policy and practice to conform to human rights and international law. It's always directly germane to the needs of the victims. Okay? And we already talked about that. These are the organizations you can join to be directly aiding the victims of this policy in the desert. And it's always volunteer-based. We don't write grants and hire staff to do our work for us out there in the desert. We're completely dependent upon all of you, and no paychecks at the end of the day. Yeah. And it's always community-centered. Right? You sign up for Samaritans and No More Deaths, you sign up for a community of folks who have been out there in the desert for some time now. And we have certain protocols and norms that you will learn about this afternoon. And we expect you to be a part of that kind of community and be responsible and accountable to it when you're out there. There ain't no Lone Rangers in the Samaritans or No More Deaths, right? I mean, you can be a Lone Ranger out there, and you're welcome to do that, but not if you go out as a Samaritan or as a volunteer with No More Deaths. We expect that you will understand you're part of a community whose norms and protocols